So we are reading Ikigai. We are on chapter 5, page number 89 of the book and page number 58 of the PDF. Shivangla, you're on.
Yeah. Chapter 5, Masters of Longevity. Words of wisdom from the longest living people in the world. When we started working on this book, we didn't want to just research the factors that contribute to a long and happy life. We wanted to hear from the true masters of this art. The
So
interviews
again, you see, what I have found is that whenever you want to learn something, and this is of all the modalities that we've done, if you are in the proximity of a master, then your learning automatically gets enhanced. And another thing what I've seen is that if you're practicing something and a person who knows how to do that thing, if they just touch you on the back, you'll find you'll be able to do it more effectively. So when he's saying we wanted to hear from the true masters of this art, that means you want to hear from a person who's actually been doing it and implementing the strategies in their life to create longevity in their life.
The interviews we conducted in Okinawa merit their own chapter, but in section that precedes it, we have provided an overview of the life, philosophies of a few international champions of longevity. We are talking about super centenarians, people who live to 110 years of age or more. The term was coined in 1970 by Norris McWhirter, editor of the Guinness Book of World Records. Its use became more widespread in the 1990s after it appeared in William Strauss and Neil Howe's Generations. Today, there are an estimated 300 to 450 supercentenarians in the world, although the age of only around 75 of them has been confirmed. They aren't superheroes, but we could see them as such for having spent far more time on this planet than the average life expectancy would predict.
So again, there may be no records for these people also. Like if a person is born in a village, there was no record. Or for example, the church where the notification of the baptism was done, that church is no more, or all the records have been destroyed. So naturally, many of them would not have any kind of a record.
Given the rise in life expectancy around the world, the number of supercentenarians might also increase. A healthy and purposeful life could help us join their ranks. Let's take a look at what a few of them have to say. Misao Okawa, 117. Eat and sleep, and you live a long time. You have to learn to relax.
So today, let me tell you, 99% of the issues that we face is only from one thing, and that is stress. Now, if we can learn how to relax, we learn how to allow things, we learn how to handle things the way that they are meant to be handled, then automatically we increase our lifespan because there is less stress in the body system.
According to Gerontology Research Group, until April 2015, the oldest living person in the world was Misao Okawa, who passed away in a care facility in Osaka, Japan, after living for 117 years and 27 days. The daughter of a textile merchant, she was born in 1898 when Spain lost its colonies in Cuba and the Philippines, and the United States annexed Hawaii and launched Pepsi Cola. Until she was 110, this woman, who lived in 3 different centuries, cared for herself unassisted.
So many of these super centurions, they actually look after everything themselves. They do everything for themselves. And that's one of the secrets of their longevity also.
When specialists asked about her self-care routine, Misao answered simply, eating sushi and sleeping, to which we should add, having a tremendous thirst for life. When they inquired about her secret for longevity, she answered with a smile. I asked myself the same thing.
So a tremendous thirst for life. That means you have to have a purpose in your life. That purpose is what will also drive you to being able to live. Okay, you have to have something to live for.
Proof that Japan continues to be a factory of long life, in July of the same year, Sakari Momoi passed away at 112 years and 150 days old. At the time, he was the oldest man in the world, though he was younger than 57 women.
So women generally tend to live longer than men.
Maria Capowilla, 116. I've never eaten meat in my life.
So again,
Born
if you look at the system, our body system, it is actually not meant for meat eating. Okay. Now, having said that, if you are in a place like Iceland or in Greenland where there is no vegetation, then you have to eat meat. So having meat is not an issue according to me, but the more healthy diet for the human being is a vegetarian diet. Of course, there'll be many who will disagree. I'm not wanting to get into any kind of controversy.
Born in Ecuador in 1889, Maria Capowilla was recognized by Guinness as the world's oldest person. She died of pneumonia in 2006 at 116 years and 347 days old, leaving behind 3 children, 12 grandchildren, and 20 great and great great grandchildren. She gave one of her last interviews at age 107, sharing her memories and her thoughts. I'm happy and I give thanks to God who keeps me going. I never thought I'd live so long. I thought I'd die long ago. My husband, Antonio Capowilla, was the captain of a ship. He passed away at 84. We had 2 daughters and a son, and now I have many grandchildren and great grandchildren. Things were better back in the old days. People behaved better. We used to dance, but we were more restrained. There was this one song I loved dancing to, Maria by Louis Alarcon. I still remember most of the words. I also remember many prayers and say them every day. I like the waltz and can still dance it. I also still make crafts. I still do some of the things I did when I was in school.
So making craft, keeping busy, okay, doing something productive also becomes very, very important.
When she finished recalling her past, she began to dance, one of her great passions, with an energy that made her seem decades younger. When asked about her secret for longevity, she responded simply, I don't know what the secret to long life is. The only thing I do is I've never eaten meat in my life. I attribute it to that. Jean comment, everything's fine.
So now everything is fine. It's like that in Three Idiots he says, na, all is well, all is well. So when everything is fine, then automatically there is less stress in your system.
Born in Arles, France in February 1875, Jean Carment lived until August 4th, 1997, making her, at 122, the oldest person of verified age in history. She jokingly said that she competed with Methuselah, and that is no question that she broke numerous records as she went on celebrating birthdays. She died of natural causes at the end of a happy life, during which she denied herself almost nothing. She rode a bicycle until she was 100. She lived on her own until 110, when she agreed to move into a nursing home after accidentally starting a small fire in her apartment. She stopped smoking at 120 when her cataracts started making it hard for her to bring a cigarette to her lips. One of her secrets may have been her sense of humor, as she said on her 120th birthday. I see badly, I hear badly, and I feel bad, but everything's fine.
So again, sense of humor. If you're laughing, okay. So sense of humor will always put you on the right side of the grid. So again, there is less stress in the system.
Walter Bruning, 114. If you keep your mind and body busy, you'll be around a long time.
So again, focused attention and being in the present moment.
Born in Minnesota in 1896, Walter Bruning was able to see 3 centuries in his lifetime. He died in Montana in 2011 from natural causes. He'd had 2 wives and a 50-year career on the railroad. At 83, he retired to an assisted living center in Montana, where he remained until his death. He is the second oldest man of verified age ever born in the United States. He gave many interviews in his final years, insisting that his longevity stemmed from, among other things, his habit of eating only 2 meals per day and working for as many years as he could.
So again, what happens? ये intermittent fasting जो बोलते हैं, it is basically 2 meals a day. Even our grandparents, I remember my grandfather used to eat his lunch at 11 o'clock and then he used to eat his dinner at 7 o'clock. And that those were the basically the 2 meals that he used to have. So that is there. And actually working, keeping busy, keeping your mind occupied. If your mind is empty and it's not occupied, then it goes done. It's like a road which is not used will start to get overgrown and the road will vanish after some time. So keeping busy, keeping your mind alert, doing new stuff becomes very important for health and well-being.
Your mind and your body, you keep both busy, he said on his 112th birthday. You'll be here a long time. Back then, he was still exercising every day. Among Bruning's other secrets, he had a habit of helping others and he wasn't afraid of dying.
So again,
As he
fear, any kind of fear will always put you on the left side of the grid. And one of the biggest fears that we have is a fear of dying. And that's what I find I mean, it's very nice about the Monroe process is that once you've done the programs, then your fear of death definitely starts to diminish. Okay. And habit of helping others, that means you're always out to give. Okay. So when you're giving, you're appreciating, you're operating out of compassion, you're always on the right side of the grid. And that is when health, well-being, everything comes from the right side of the grid.
As he declared in 2010 interview with the Associated Press, we are all going to die. Some people are scared of dying. Never be afraid to die because you're born to die.
So
Before,
again, we are all guaranteed one OBE in our life, and that is at the point time of death.
before passing away in 2011, he is said to have told a pastor that he'd made a deal with God. If he wasn't going to get better, it was time to go.
So acceptance.
Alexander Imich, 111. I just haven't died yet. Born in Poland in 1903, Alexander Imich was a chemist and a parapsychologist residing in the United States who, after the death of his predecessor in 2014, became the oldest man of authenticated age in the world. Image himself died shortly thereafter, in June of that year, leaving behind a long life rich with experiences. Image attributed his longevity to, among other things, never drinking alcohol. It's not as though I'd won the Nobel Prize, he said upon being declared the world's oldest man. I never thought I'd get to be so old. When asked about his secret to living so long, his answer was, I don't know. I just haven't died yet.
So he was totally not concerned about living or dying. So no stress again.
Ikigai artists. The secrets to long life, however, is not held by supercentenarians alone. There are many people of advanced age who, though they haven't made it into Guinness World Records, offer us inspiration and ideas for bringing energy and meaning to our lives. Artists, for example, who carry the torch of their ikigai instead of retiring, have this power. Art in all its forms is an ikigai that can bring happiness and purpose to our days. Enjoying or creating beauty is free and something all human beings have access to. Hokusai, the Japanese artist who made woodblock prints in the ukiyo-e style and lived for 88 years, from the mid 18th to the mid 19th century, added this postscript to the first edition of his 100 Views of Mount Fuji. All that I have produced before the age of 70 is not worth being counted. It is at the age of 73 that I have somewhat begun to understand the structure of true nature, of animals and grasses, and trees and birds and fishes and insects. Consequently, at 80 years of age, I shall have made still more progress. At 90, I hope to have penetrated into the mystery of things. At 100 years of age, I should have reached decidedly a marvelous degree. And when I shall be 110, all that I do, every point and every line shall be instinct with life.
So again, always learning more, growing, all the time growing.
In the pages that follow, we've collected some of the most inspirational words from artists interviewed by Camille Sweeney for the New York Times. Of those still living, none have retired, and all still enjoy their passion, which they plan to pursue until their final breath, demonstrating that when you have a clear purpose, no one can stop you.
So when you find your ikigai, you really don't have to stop what you're doing. There is no retirement required because you love what you're doing. You enjoy what you're doing. You're doing it for the joy of doing. So you don't really need to stop doing it.
The actor Christopher Plummer, still working at 86, reveals a dark desire shared by many who love the profession. We want to drop dead on stage. That would be a nice theatrical way to go.
So what does it mean?
Osamu Tezuka,
To go
the
what while
father
you're doing what you enjoy doing. And that's the beautiful way to really transit.
Osamu Tezuka, the father of modern Japanese manga, shared this feeling. Before he died in 1989, his last words as he drew one final cartoon were, "Please just let me work." The 86-year-old filmmaker Friedrich Wiseman declared on a stroll through Paris that he likes to work, which is why he does it with such intensity. Everybody complains about the aches and pains and all that, but my friends are either dead or are still working, he
So
said.
again, if you're not working, you're dead. Now, working doesn't mean actually working, okay? It just means you're doing things that are your ikigai, that you are being able to do for the joy of doing and for the joy of being.
Carmen Herrera, a painter who just entered her 100th year, sold her first canvas at 89. Today, her work is in the permanent collections of the Tate Modern and the Museum of Modern Art. When asked how she viewed her future, she responded, "I am always waiting to finish the next thing. Absurd, I know. I go day by day."
So again, there is no age bar as to when you can do something new. And also, if you are living in the moment and you are living for the moment, then each moment is a new moment. So then you're constantly just there. You're in the present all the time.
Never stop learning. You may grow old and trembling in your anatomies. You may lie awake at night listening to the disorder of your veins. You may miss your only love. You may see the world about you devastated by evil lunatics, or know your honor trampled in the sewers of baser minds. There is only one thing for it then: to learn. Learn why the world wags and what wags it. That is the only thing which the mind can never exhaust, never alienate, never be tortured by, never fear or distrust, and never dream of regretting. T.H. White, the once and future king.
So again, the only thing is to keep learning, to keep growing. The moment anyone says that I know it all, the guy is finished. Okay.
For his part, naturalist and author Edward O. Wilson asserted, "I feel I have enough experience to join those who are addressing big questions." About 10 years ago, when I began reading and thinking more broadly about the questions of what are we, where did we come from, and where are we going, I was astonished at how little this was being done.
So now this is a spiritual inquiry. Now, in the last few centuries, the world has become a materialistic inquiry. So naturally, the spiritual inquiry took a backseat, which was actually what the inquiry was in the olden ages, at least in India.
Ellsworth Kelly, an artist who passed away in 2015 at the age of 92, assured us that the idea that we lose our faculties with age is, in part, a myth, because instead we develop a greater clarity and capacity for observation. It's one thing about getting older, you see more. Every day I'm continuing to see new things. That's why there are new paintings.
So again, experience, wisdom comes from knowledge as well as experiencing something. And that's when wisdom is there. This was also the reason that in olden times or in earlier ages, at least in India, the grandparents used to spend a lot of time with the toddlers, with the youngsters. And most of the time they were instructing them through stories. They were imbibing the culture into them. They were imbibing uh, all the traditions into them. Okay. The other thing is that when you have wisdom, you have the eye to be able to perceive because you know what is there. So you can infer a lot of things also because of that experience, because of that knowledge that you have accumulated over your lifetime.
At 86, the architect Frank Gehry reminds us that some buildings can take 7 years from the time you're hired until you're finished, a fact that favors a patient attitude with regard to the passage of time. The man responsible for the Guggenheim Museum Bilbao, however, knows how to live in the here and now. You stay in your time. You don't go backward. I think if you relate to the time you're in, you keep your eyes and ears open, read the paper, see what's going on, stay curious about everything, you will automatically be in your time.
Okay, so stay curious about everything. This is extremely important. Any child is curious about everything. You'll see how many questions a child asks. So we have lost this curiosity as we are growing up. The idea is to bring that childlike nature back into us which will again enhance our longevity. Okay. And again, to keep your eyes and ears open. So what is that? To be able to perceive, to be able to have information, to be able to grow, to learn. That is what life is all about.
Longevity in Japan. Because of its robust civil registry, many of those verified as having lived the longest are found in the United States. However, there are many centenarians living in remote villages in other countries. A peaceful life in the countryside seems pretty common among people who have watched a century pass.
Okay, so
Without
what does
question,
this mean? Normally, in a village, there is less hassle, there is less tension. The pace of life is much slower. They're not in a hurry to get anywhere because there's nowhere to get, because everything is there in that small area itself. So, automatically, they have less stress. Less stress means a better life.
without question, the international superstar of longevity is Japan, which has the highest life expectancy of any country in the world. In addition to a healthy diet, which we will explore in detail, and an integrated healthcare system in which people go to the doctor for regular checkups to prevent disease. Longevity in Japan is closely tied to its culture, as we will see later on. The sense of community and the fact that Japanese people make an effort to stay active until the very end are key elements of their secret to long life. If you want to stay busy, even when there's no need to work, there has to be an ikigai on your horizon, a purpose that guides you throughout your life and pushes you to make things of beauty and utility for the community and yourself.
Okay, so again, keeping busy, being with community, having a healthy diet, having a healthy lifestyle. So we're moving to chapter 6.
Lessons from Japan's centenarians, traditions and proverbs for happiness and longevity. To get to Ojimi, we had to fly nearly 3 hours from Tokyo to Naha, the capital of Okinawa. Several months earlier, we had contacted the town council of a place known as the Village of Longevity to explain the purpose of our trip and our intention to interview the oldest members of the community. After numerous conversations, we finally got the help we were looking for and were able to rent a house just outside the town. 1 year after starting this project, we found ourselves on the doorstep of some of the longest living people in the world. We realized right away that time seems to have stopped there, as though the entire town were living in an endless here and now.
So the entire town is living in the present.
Arriving in Ojimi, after 2 hours on the road from Naha, we are finally able to stop worrying about the traffic. To our left are the sea and an empty stretch of beach. To our right, the mountainous jungle of Okinawa's Yanbaru forests. Once, Route 58 passes Nago, where Orion beer, the pride of Okinawa, is made. It skirts the coast until it reaches Ojimi. Every now and then, a few little houses and stores crop up in the narrow stretch of land between the road and the base of the mountain. We pass small clusters of houses scattered here and there, and as we enter the municipality of Ojimi, but the town doesn't really seem to have a center. Our GPS finally guides us to our destination, the Center for the Support and Promotion of Well-being, housed in an unattractive cinder block building right off the highway. We go in through the back door, where a man named Tyra is waiting for us. Beside him, sorry,
ठीक ही तो है.
no, it's just gone. The page is just gone. We go in through the back door, where a man named Tyra is waiting for us. Beside him is a petite, cheerful woman who introduces herself as Yuki. Two other women immediately get up from the desks and show us to a conference room. They serve us each a cup of green tea and a few shikuwasa, a small citrus fruit that packs a big nutritional punch, as we will see later on. Tyra sits down across from us in his formal suit and opens up a large planner and a three-ring binder. Yuki sits next to him. The binder contains a list of all the town's residents, organized by age and club, or moai. Tyra points out that these groups of people who help one another are characteristic of Ojimi. The moai are not organized around any concrete objective. They function more like a family. Tyra also tells us that volunteer work, rather than money, drives much of what happens in Ujimi. Everyone offers to pitch in, and the local government takes care of assigning tasks. This way, everyone can be useful and feels like a part of the community.
So again, since
Uji.
they had these clubs which were supporting one another. So in any journey, you have to have companionship. Man is a social animal. So if you have companionship and you have someone whom you can pick up the phone and actually call when you need help, that creates a lot of security. It allows you to transcend fear. It allows you to feel secure. And that is what again enhances your longevity. And then when you are made to feel that you are important, that becomes very, very life enhancing.
Fushimi is the penultimate town before Cape Hido, the northernmost point of the largest island in the archipelago. From the top of one of Ojimi's mountains, we were able to look down over the whole town. Almost everything is the green of the Yanbaru jungle, making us wonder where the nearly 3,200 residents are hiding. We can see a few houses, but they're scattered in little clusters near the sea or in small valleys, accessible by side roads.
So again, integration with nature. So whatever they were living also, it was so integrated that you really didn't see any difference or distinction between the forest and where they were living.
Communal life. We're invited to eat in one of Ujimi's few restaurants, but when we arrive, the only three tables are already reserved. Don't worry, we can go to Churomi instead. It never fills up, says Yuki, walking back to her car.
So again,
She's still driving.
in the first restaurant, the guy can naturally expand, but he's got only three tables, which he wants to perfectly serve. Okay. Shimangla, you there?
Yeah, the network is not right. She's still driving at age 88 and takes great pride in that. Her co pilot is 99 and has also decided to spend the day with us. We have to drive fast to keep up with them on a highway that is sometimes more dirt than asphalt. Finally, reaching the other end of the jungle, we can at last sit down to eat. I don't really go to restaurants, Yuki says, as we take our seats. Almost everything I eat comes from my vegetable garden, and I buy my fish from Tanaka, who's been my friend forever.
So again,
The
growing your
restaurant
own
is
stuff. Now, when we are growing our own vegetables, etc., we are pouring love and affection into the vegetables. So when we are eating them, automatically they become more nourishing for us. Okay, again, buying stuff from a person who you know, that again puts nourishment into it. Because when your friend is giving you something, the attitude with which the friend will give you that thing will also have an uplifting energy.
The restaurant is right by the sea and seems like something from the planet Tatooine from Star Wars. The menu boasts in large letters that it serves slow food prepared with organic vegetables grown in the town. But really, Yuki continues, food is the least important thing. She is extroverted and rather pretty. She likes to talk about her role as the director of several associations run by the local government. Food won't help you live longer, she says, bringing to her lips a bite of the diminutive confection that followed our meal. The secret is smiling and having a good time.
So whenever you are smiling
There are
and having
no
a good time, you are on the right side of the grid.
there are no bars and only a few restaurants in Ojimi, but those who live there enjoy a rich social life that revolves around community centers. The town is divided into 17 neighborhoods, and each one has a president and several people in charge of things like culture, festivals, social activities, and longevity.
So again, a rich social life that revolves around community centers. Now, in the olden times in India, the temple was the community center where all the mela, everything. It was, you'll find that in every village, the temple was always made in the center of the village. So everyone had access to the temple.
Residents pay close attention to this last category. We are invited to the community center of one of the 17 neighborhoods. It is an old building right next to one of the mountains of the Yanbaru jungle, home to Bunagaya, the town's iconic sprites.
Spirits.
अच्छा यहाँ sprites लिखा है ठीक है. The town's iconic spirits. The Bunagaya spirits of the Yanbaru jungle. Bunagaya are magical creatures that inhabit the Yanbaru jungle near Ojimi and its surrounding towns. They manifest as children with long red hair and like to hide in the jungle's Gajumaru banyan trees and go fishing on the beach. Many of Okinawa's stories and fables are about Bunagaya spirits. They are mischievous, playful, and unpredictable. Locals say that the Bunagaya loves the mountains, rivers, sea, tree, earth, wind, and animals, and that if you wanted to befriend them, you have to show respect for nature.
So again, nature spirits. Okay. Now in every shamanistic culture, nature is always adhered to. Nature is worshipped. We all in India we worship everything that is natural. We have a fire god, we have a water god, we have a air god. You name it, and we have a god for that. The reason is that you are connecting with them. Now, I think it was for long. There was a space, I think in UK or in USA, for long bolke, where these nature spirits were actually nurturing stuff, and they built a whole story around that. It's become a tourist attraction also, and the garden over there is so pretty. It's so beautiful that it is not funny. Everyone wants to. It's become a tourist attraction. I forget the exact word. I'll take out that book and then I can share with you all tomorrow or on Thursday. But yeah, nature spirits can do wonders.
A birthday party. When we arrive at the neighborhood's community center, we are greeted by a group of about 20 people who proudly proclaim, the youngest amongst us is 83. We conduct our interviews at a large table while drinking green tea. When we finish, we are brought to an event space where we celebrate the birthdays of three members of the group. One woman is turning 99, another 94, and one young man has just reached 89. We sing a few songs popular in the village and finish up with happy birthday in English. The woman turning 99 blows out the candles and thanks everyone for coming to her party.
So again, the number is also relative, right? 89 may be very old, but then if you have older people than you, then you are a young man in that group. So it's all very relative.
We eat homemade shikuwasa cake and end up dancing and celebrating as though it were the birthday of a 20 something. It's the first party, but not the last, that we'll attend during our week in the village. We'll also do karaoke with a group of seniors who sing better than we do, and attend a traditional festival with local bands, dancers, and food stands at the foot of a mountain.
So again, they have a good time. They dance, they sing, they enjoy themselves.
Celebrate each day together. Celebrations seem to be an essential part of life in Ojimi. We are invited to watch a game of gate ball, one of the most popular sports among Okinawa's oldest residents. It involves hitting a ball with a mallet like stick. It is a low impact sport that can be played anywhere and is a good excuse to move around and have fun as a group. The residents hold local competitions and there is no age limit for participants.
So again, friendly competition allows you to raise the bar.
We participate in the weekly game and lose to a woman who recently turned 104. Everyone cheers, and the defeated look on our faces elicits laughter. In addition to playing and celebrating as a community, spirituality is also essential to the happiness of the village's residents.
Okay, so spirituality has to come in when you are looking at longevity.
The gods of Okinawa. The main religion in Okinawa is known as Ryukyu Shinto. Ryukyu Shinto. Ryukyu is the original name of the Okinawa archipelago and Shinto means the path of the gods. Ryukyu Shinto combines elements of Chinese Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and Shintoism with shamanistic and animistic elements.
So they are not rejecting everything. They are integrating everything to form a common platform.
According to this ancient faith, the world is populated by an infinite number of spirits divided into several types. Spirits of the home, of the forest, of the trees, and of the mountains. It is important to appease these spirits through rituals and festivals and by consecrating sacred grounds.
So again, everything has a life, everything has a spirit. And when we start communing, when we start associating, when we start, you know, connecting with that spirit, automatically things start to fall in line. And most of the rituals, etc., were done just for this, to make that connection with these spirits.
Okinawa is full of sacred jungles and forests where many of the two main kinds of temples are found, the Utaki and the Uganju. We visited an Uganju or small open-air temple adorned with incense and coins, next to a waterfall in Ojimi. The Utaki is a collection of stones where people go to pray and where supposedly spirits gather.
So it's again a spot of prayer.
In Okinawa's religious practice, women are considered spiritually superior to men. whereas the opposite is true of traditional Shintoism in the rest of Japan. Yuta are women chosen as mediums by their communities to make contact with the spirit realm through traditional rites.
So these are mediums, right? Where they are going. What is the definition of a shaman? A person who goes into an altered state of consciousness and gets back information which is for the benefit of the tribe and performs miracles. Performs miracles means does healing. So over here, these Utah are actually going into these altered state using the traditional rituals which are there, connecting with their spirit guides and bringing them information for the good of the tribe.
Ancestor worship is another important feature of spiritual practice in Okinawa and in Japan in general. The home of each generation's firstborn usually contains a butsudan or small altar used to pray for and make offerings to the family's ancestors.
So we are all connected with the lineage. Whether we like it or not, we are here because of our parents. And in every tradition that I've gone to, or any technology that I've learned, ancestors become very, very important. What is your lineage? Okay. So if you're not clear with your parents, then automatically you can never be clear with anything else. You have to be clear with your parents. So that's why connecting अपने in our culture जो श्राद्ध होता है, it's paying respect to your ancestors. It's paying respect to your elders. It becomes very important. We saw this in family constellation. We see this in biofield tuning. We've seen this in life system. We've seen this happening in when we are going into altered states in the Monroe Institute process also. Every and each process that I've done, ancestors again and again come up.
Mabui. Every person has an essence or Mabui. This Mabui is our spirit and the source of our life force. It is immortal and makes us who we are.
So in our culture, it would be Atma. Okay, that Atma, that spark of life, which makes you alive.
Sometimes the Mabui of someone who has died is trapped in the body of a living person. This situation requires a separation ritual to free the Mabui of the deceased. It often happens when a person dies suddenly, especially at a young age, and his or her Mabui does not want to move on to the realm of the dead.
So now in Monroe Institute terms, this person is stuck in focus 23, where the person has died but does not know that he has died and has exited the body or does not want to leave the body. Now we can get any person who's leaving the body and has transcended, you can get stuck to three things. I keep repeating this. You can get stuck to a place, you can get stuck to a person, you can get stuck to a thing. Okay, so if you have transcended but you don't know you have transcended or you do not want to move ahead, then a ritual has to be done to allow you to transcend. This is what we do in the Lifeline program of the Monroe Institute.
A Mabui can also be passed from person to person by physical contact. A grandmother who leaves her granddaughter a ring transfers a part of a Mabui to her. Photographs can also be a medium for passing Mabui among people.
So what is Mabui over here would be that essence. Okay, now there is an art called Psychometry, where what happens is if you have a ring of someone, this person will hold the ring and will tell you or describe to you every person who ever wore that ring, because your essence is imprinted on anything that you are using. This is also the way in which dogs, you make them smell something and they will find you where you are. Now you're wearing shoes, but your essence is even penetrating your soles of your shoe and falling on the earth, which is what the dog can smell and find you with. Okay, And this is also one of the reasons why really spiritual people did not want, and especially in Aboriginal cultures, etc., they were very, very fearful of getting their picture taken, because your essence is in your picture. Today, if we get a picture, we can tell you a lot about a person just using the picture. Voodoo was also based on this. You take something of that person and you do something to that, and it will affect that person. Radionics, healing through radionics also works on the same basis. They've done experiments where they've taken the hair of a person and treated the hair with homeopathic medicine, and the healing takes place in the person whose hair it is. So a lot of transfer of energy can take place just through the vibrations. And this is what they are talking about here. A grandmother who leaves her daughter a ring transfers part of a mabui to her. So I'm transferring a part of me. I'm transferring a part of my essence to you.
The older, the stronger. Looking back, our days in Ojimi were intense but relaxed, sort of like the lifestyle of the locals who always seemed to be busy with important tasks but who, upon closer inspection, did everything with a sense of calm. They were always pursuing their ikigai, but they were never in a rush.
Okay, so you got this. Who always seemed to be busy with important tasks. So they were never empty. They were always doing something. They were busy with something and always doing it with a sense of calm. So they had purpose, they had equanimity, they had equilibrium within themselves while they were doing whatever they were doing. And again, when you are in that state of calm, then you're never rushed. You're always on time because everything just happens spontaneously. You start shifting from doing to being. Okay, from effort effortfulness to effortlessness. So when I become effortless and I'm operating in that state of in that state of calm, inner calm and peace, then there is no reason why I will be rushed to do anything.
Not only did they seem to be happily busy, but we also noticed that they followed the other principles for happiness that Washington Burnap stated 200 years ago. The grand essentials to happiness in this life are something to do, something to love, and something to hope for.
So
On our last day,
looking forward to something, doing what you are happy doing, and naturally loving something.
we went to buy gifts at a small market at the edge of town. The only things sold there are local vegetables, green tea, and shikuwasa juice, along with bottles of water from a spring hidden in the Yanbaru forest, bearing labels that read Longevity Water.
So again, spring water. They were enhanced with minerals, number one. They had purity and they were generally alkaline in nature. So in Japan, you have even 13 pH water, which they consume on a regular basis. Now, most of the whenever we are consuming food and in our day-to-day activities, the system is constantly generating free radicals. Okay, and acid is constantly being processed in our body system. So if we are not having an alkalized diet, automatically health will deteriorate. The reason is, like for example, cancer. It cannot exist if the pH of the blood and the body is above 5. So again, if you are drinking healthy water, that means yesterday I was talking to a doctor. I asked him point blank question that tell me how much time during the 5 or 7 year course of becoming a doctor is spent on nutrition. His answer to me was, I regularly tell people to have a vegetarian diet. he could not tell me how much time they spent on nutrition while they were becoming a doctor. And then I asked him the next question, how much does any doctor, if you visited a doctor, does any doctor ask you how much water and what is the quality of water that you are drinking? Again, I got a blank. Then I asked him the next question. Tell me any doctor who asks you, how are you breathing? There was no answer. Now we all understand the importance of breathing in this COVID period, where everyone is focused on the oxygenation level. Everyone is using that, what do you call that? I don't know, that you put your finger in it and check. What do you call that, Shivangala?
Oximeter.
Oximeter. Now, why are you using that? To see the oxygen level in the body. Now, how does the oxygen level in the body come? It is through the act of breathing. But how much attention were we paying to that? So if you're looking at health, you need to look at your diet also, you need to look at your water, you need to look at your exercise, you need to look at your thoughts. There are so many things that you need to look at. So all that we are reading in this book, if you see, they were happy, they had a purpose in life, they had found their ikigai, they had a sense of community, they were out to support and help each other all the time. They kept doing stuff that they enjoyed doing, and they did not stop doing it till the last bit of their life, and they kept doing everything for themselves. Okay, and they were eating a good diet, they were living in fresh air, they were drinking good water. You can see, if in the shopping area there was only vegetables, green tea, and shukawasa juice, and this fruit is highly nutritious and highly alkalizing. So when they are having that, and the other thing was longevity water, there was nothing else. So you can understand what the focus of that entire community was on. Shivangla?
We bought ourselves some of this longevity water and drank it in the parking lot, looking out over the sea and hoping that the little bottles that promised a magic elixir would bring us health and long life and would help us find our own ikigai. Then we took a photo with a statue of a Bunagaya and walked up to it one last time to read the inscription. A declaration from the town where people live longest. At 80, I am still a child. When I come to see you at 90, send me away to wait until I'm 100. The older, the stronger. Let us not depend too much on our children as we age. If you seek long life and health, you are welcome in our village, where you will be blessed by nature, and together we will discover the secret to longevity. Ojimi Federation of Senior Citizens Clubs, April 23rd, 1993.
So now what does this mean? That anyone who doesn't want to be dependent on their children is welcome into their village. They will be allotted to a club where they will look after and support each other and live in a healthy, clean, beautiful environment, eating healthy food and doing stuff that they love to do. I think we can stop here.
Yeah.